Here we have a closed loop operation. This is for all vehicles, man, that have computerized engine controls. All right. This is called closed loop. What closed loop is the oxygen sensor and the computer with many other sensors are communicating in order to maintain this here, which is 14.7 to 1. What that is stoichiometric air fuel ratio, which is 14.7 parts of air to 1 part fuel. This here is the PCM. This here is the fuel injector. This here is the oxygen sensor. After the combustion process, the air and fuel that got burned inside the cylinders comes out the exhaust through the exhaust pipes through the catalytic converter. Well, before the catalytic converter, you have an O2 sensor. All right? And after the catalytic converter, you have an O2 sensor. So you have 2. Some vehicles have 4. All right? Just call this the upstream O2 sensor. All right? The upstream is before the catalytic converter. The downstream O2 sensor is after the catalytic converter. This reads oxygen content inside of the exhaust as it comes out of the combustion chamber and tells the computer. It sends input signals to the computer on how much oxygen content is inside of the exhaust stream. All right? So it'll send a rich or a lean condition. Okay, it'll send it to the PCM, ECU, same stuff. It's all computer stuff. It'll send information to that. Then this ECU will make a determination on how much fuel to send back into this by sending a command to this fuel injector here, which tells the fuel injector how long to stay open, which is the pulse width, on how long. Inside here there's a pintle. The pintle goes in and out like that, allowing fuel to go into the combustion chamber. And that pulse width is also determined by the short-term and long-term fuel trim. That's what the STF-T and LTF is. Short-term fuel trim and long-term fuel trim. So negative is taking away fuel. Positive is adding fuel. Okay? That's the short-term and long-term fuel trim. And you can have many different problems with that. You could have a clogged air filter, leaking fuel injectors, anything that can make it run rich or lean. That's what that's saying. It's running a little lean, so it's running a little rich, so it'll take away some, which is the negative. Or it's running a little lean, so it'll add some, which is the positive. These two percentages are based on input signals that will determine how long the injectors stay open, which is the pulse width, hence fuel trim. Okay? What sensors? These here. These and many more. This is the idle air control, throttle position sensor. This should have been an S. Crankshaft position, camshaft position, mass airflow sensor, coolant temperature sensor, speed sensors, map sensors. This is and many more than that. There's a ton of sensors that the PCM receives input from in order to make this determination on how long to keep this open here. This PCM sends a command to various actuators. What's an actuator? This here is an actuator. Relays are actuators. Idle air control valve is an actuator. Fuel injector is an actuator. The command is telling the component how long to stay open, like this fuel injector or idle air control valve. How long to keep the idle air control valve open during an idle condition when you're stopping at the stoplight or whatever. So all this information is received from these sensors. If you have a check engine light like the cars I showed you, and it's one of these, it doesn't matter, you're going to fail the smog anyways. They won't even smog the car. But if it's one of these that are related to the emissions test, you're going to fail definitely, because one of these will affect this fuel trim. All right, and the fuel trim that you're looking for, you want it at 0%. Why? Because 0% is saying that the computer doesn't have to adjust much or anything at all. It's always adjusting, but just say that it stays at 0. But the computer is always adjusting the fuel trim constantly in milliseconds, fractions of a second. So if one of these sensors are off, let's pick one. Say this one, the map sensor. The map sensor detects a load in the engine. If you have a rip in a hose and you have a vacuum leak, or even if you have show down there, even if you have a leak here on the intake manifold gasket, you will be running lean, which is down here. Let's go to this now. Your car will be running lean, which this will detect the O2 sensor. It'll send that lean input signal to the PCM. The PCM will say, hey, we need to increase the fuel over here. So it'll tell the injector, let's put a little bit more fuel. So it'll stay open for a longer period of time, which is the pulse width. That's why your smog will be affected. Let me explain to you what the deal is with the catalytic converter. What the catalytic converter's job is to do is to convert all the chemicals that are going in to the engine, convert it from hydrocarbons, carbon monoxide, O2, to break it down and turn it into CO2, which is carbon dioxide, and NOx, nitrous oxide, and H2O, water. That's why you got drips coming out of the tailpipe sometimes. When you have a check engine light, you have something wrong with the vehicle. It could either be emission related or performance or transmission code, whatever. But if it's emission related and it affects these components here, the hydrocarbons and the CO, and the O2 and all that, you'll get a large portion of this, too much of this, coming out of the tailpipe. All right? This is what you want only. The higher the voltage, the richer the condition. The lower the voltage, which is 0 volts, the leaner the condition. This wave pattern is normal. That's what you want to see. That means that the computer is doing its job right and everything is functioning okay as far as the fuel trimmers, okay? And that's what you want to see. You want to see a from 0 to 1 volt range in a wave pattern like that. This is an example of the secondary oxygen sensor, the one behind the catalytic converter. You want to have that, the secondary oxygen sensor should be at 0.45, all right in the center, between 1 volt, 0 and 1 volt. This is the one in front of the catalytic converter, okay? You got 2 of them on most vehicles. One in front of the cat and one behind the cat. If you're up here, you're running rich, like this. If you're down here, you're running lean. So low voltage is a lean condition. High voltage is a rich condition. And this right here, this is very important stuff, man. This is extremely important, especially if you are into diagnostics or if you want to become a mechanic, technician, and you want to learn how to diagnose stuff. You need to know this stuff right here. Fuel trim. You better master that stuff, man. This stuff is very important when it comes to diagnosing. If you don't know this stuff, and you need to know this stuff for today's vehicles. If you don't know this stuff, man, you're going to be lost, man, on a lot of your diagnostics, because you got to keep in mind, these cars are computerized engine control systems. And everything is, all this is communicating. You need to know what's saying what. Why this is doing that. And it's that simple, man. Learn your fuel trims. If you're going to get a scanner, make sure you got this in there, man. Live data. Very important, man. Your scanner must be able to read this stuff. Some of the old school scanners don't have live data. It just gives you codes. All right? But you need a scanner that will show you the waveforms. That's the deal on the closed loop operation. And this is very important stuff before you smog your vehicle. Okay? And this is it right here. This right here, short-term, long-term fuel trim, you want it at 0%. All right? If you're within 5%, you might be all right for the smog, but that doesn't guarantee that you'll pass smog. All right? Remember, this is not a guarantee that you pass smog, but your chances of passing smog will increase if you can get your fuel trims down to 0. This, now show up here, that crack will definitely show a problem here. Okay? What do you think it'll show? It's going to show a lean condition. Why? Because check it out. This crack here is going to allow air to go in, this O2 sensor, and the other one, which is down here, is going to pick up the air that's coming into this exhaust stream. All right? Then it's going to report that to the computer. And the computer is going to make an adjustment based on the amount of air that's being inputted into the computer. But that's how this stuff works, man. It's simple, but yet complicated at the same time. Now I'm going to show you the closed loop operation, okay? The car's going to start. It's going to be an open loop first, all right? Where do you go for that? We go to the fuel systems here, right here. See, right now we're in open loop, okay? So go ahead and start the car. Watch this. It's going to stay in open loop for a little bit, then it's going to go in a closed loop, okay? So now there we go right there. There's closed loop, okay? So now we're going to take it for a drive, and I'm going to show you a closed loop and an open loop operation while you're accelerating. When you go on the freeway, watch the closed loop, okay? It's going to open and close. When you get to a certain speed, it's going to open and close. See? Right there it opens. Wait, accelerate. There we go. Open, accelerate, then let off. Okay? See, it's going in and out of open and closed loop. The reason why it's doing that is because it needs to enrich in the system. Like right now, punch the gas. Open loop. Why is that? Because the system needed to enrich the combustion process. Okay, in order for you to pass somebody up, the computer needs to enrich in the system real fast. Okay? And in order to do that, it has to do it without relying on the sensors. Okay, so there's already a preset programmed learning block inside the computer system here. This is our computer. All right, that's the PCM there. There's already a program set in there in the learn block area that tells the computer that when you accelerate to a certain speed at a certain engine load, remember some sensors are still working though. When you accelerate at a certain speed, under a certain load, it will automatically enrich in the system so that you'll have enough fuel to pass the person. All right? That way you don't bog out waiting for the sensors to do it. Okay, that's just another reason why it went into open loop real quick. Okay? But that was just real fast, if you noticed. Okay? And that's the system right there of open and closed loop. It's that simple. Remember these fuel trims here. You got to master those, man. You got to learn what makes fuel trims increase and decrease, okay? Hence the name trim. You got to find out what makes them trim, whether it's lean or rich. Here, we are at 8% negative. That's taken away, okay? That 7% negative is taken away. Down here, it says 0. Long term is not adjusting because it's got a long-term memory that doesn't need to adjust. Okay, and that's what it is, man. That's the long-term and short-term fuel trim system and the open and closed loop. All right? Done deal right there, closed loop. This is the upstream O2 sensor, okay? And that's the wave pattern you're looking for right there. That's exactly what you want to see. You want to see an up and down wave pattern like this between 200 and 800 millivolts, okay? It's maxed out, the minimum is 0 and the maximum is 1 volt, okay? So that's what the 0.0 is and the 0.9 is. The 0.9 is 900 millivolts, okay? 0, of course, is 0, all right? But you're looking for a reading between 200 and 800 millivolts. Okay, this is the downstream O2 sensor. On this vehicle, we got 780 millivolts. On the other video I just showed you at the beginning of, well, earlier in this video, it was reading, that car was reading 450 millivolts, which was right here in the center, okay? 450 millivolts is normally 14.7 to 1, stoichiometric air-fuel ratio, okay? This one's high, 780. Some technicians like that high number, some like it right at 450 millivolts. There's a happy medium between which one's best. We got 780, the other one has 450. I like the 450 because it's right at stoichiometric. So is 780 millivolts good or 450? What do you think? There's an argument between which is best, okay? So let me know what you guys think, all right? Whatever you got in your heart, man, whatever you're thinking about, that's what you become, man. You think you're screwed, that's what you become, all right? You think you can't, you won't even attempt to try. You know, some of you guys are telling me that you have this fear of even attempting to start something before you even work on the car. Well, you got to learn how to get past that. If you don't learn how to get past that, you're going to stay stuck, man. You're going to be stuck in neutral. You're going to be stuck in idle, man. You're not going to move. It's going to be hard for you. But what you got to do is you got to overcome that, man. Stop feeding yourself that junk that I can't do this, all right? Out of the abundance of the heart speaketh the mouth. The Bible also says, death and life are in the power of the tongue. So you speak it, that's what you become, all right? As you think, so shall you be. So, don't think soft. Set goals, man. Set big goals. Plan everything, man. Plan your life, too, especially you youngsters, man. Watch out for them negative cats, all right? They ain't no good. Do your best to avoid them. Stay away from them. Some of them are like poison. It's like some of these rap songs you got out here, man. Rap today's rap, it's just horrible. It's just poison. I caught my little nephew playing that song, I'm in love with the cocoa. In case a lot of you guys don't know, it's a song that says I'm in love with the cocoa. And what the cocoa is on the streets is cocaine. My little nephew was singing that stuff, man. But he didn't know any better. All right, but anyways, I had to tell him, I had to let him know that that's not a good song to sing, because what it is a conditioning. It's just like some of you guys. Some of you guys tell me you got this fear in you, man, of working on cars. Well, it's a conditioning. You've conditioned yourself to believe that you can't do it. It's too complicated. All this stuff is just it's too much. Remember, a lot of this stuff is about conditioning, your mindset, the way you think, the habits you created that keep you paralyzed. Break through that, man. The Bible says you have a little bit of faith. As small as a mustard seed, you can move mountains. But what it means is that you can go out there and you can crush things. But you got to get out of that conditioning. Some of the conditioning you may have, some of you guys might have, is watching too much TV. TV is poisonous, man. I watch TV, but man, barely. I rarely even watch TV. I'm too busy for that, man. But anyway, get out of that conditioning. We've been programmed day after day, man, to do stuff that's non-productive. Just like when I used to run the streets, man, I was conditioned to the streets, man. That's all I knew, man. All I knew how to do is party, drink, dope, get violent. That's all that was conditioned to me, man. And I was an ugly person back in the days, man. I was, man. Of course, it don't seem like it now because I'm a new person. That's what you call born again. When you come to Christ, Christ changes you, moves you out of all that rough, ugly, nasty conditioning that you've been exposed to, and changes you into the man that he wants you to be, or woman that he wants you to be. And that's what born again is about, man. Anyways, I'm out of that conditioning. And so when you hear me say, smash on it, I mean that, man. I seriously mean that. I'm not saying go have a good day. I'm saying smash on it. Get out there, smash on it. Go get it. That's what I mean. And when you do, have enthusiasm. Lift yourself up, man. If you have low self-esteem, pick yourself up, man. Get away from that TV and start feeding yourself stuff that's gonna lift you up. It's gonna edify you. Don't watch that junk all day, man. That stuff on TV, man. The little reality shows and stuff, man. Don't waste your time on all that junk that's keeping you down, man. The Kardashians, man. TMZ, like you need to know the latest Hollywood stars and what they're about, man, what they're doing. All these reality shows just showing nothing but screwed up lives, man. That's what they're feeding the public. And it's all junk. Yeah, just like the black communities, man. We get fed all this junk. You know who the leaders are in the black communities? The leaders are all these rappers, basketball stars, football stars. Some of them live raw. Some of them live shady. Some of them live foul lives. And then we see that, you know? And then we want to duplicate that and live like that. And some of these rappers putting out pure poison. Hip-hop, this ain't even hip-hop no more. The junk you hear today, that's not hip-hop. That stuff is wicked, and it's horrible, and it's destroying the hood big time. But be careful what you put in your head, because what you put in your head will condition you. And based on what you condition yourself to, that's how you're gonna live. It's not difficult to understand. You sit in front of the TV all day, right now, guess what you get next week? You get nothing. It's like I was telling my boy the other day, he lost his job. I was telling him, man, get away from that TV. Get away from that TV, man. It's gonna hold you still. It's gonna hold you down. He's sitting there telling me, he was like, man, you're right. Because, man, I've been sitting in front of the TV and my lady's starting to trip. I was telling him, well, you sit in front of that TV all day, guess what you're gonna get? He answered the question. He said nothing. And that's exactly what you're gonna get, man. If you waste time, you're gonna get nothing, especially for you students. Especially when people hit you with negativity, watch out for them cats. They're like pure poison, just like these haters. You see a lot of haters on some of my videos, hating like crazy. Why? It's a conditioning. It's what they've been conditioned to. That's what they do. I don't know, they grew up like that, or they heard something. They don't like a black man doing this kind of stuff, man. A lot of people are not used to seeing a black man do this kind of work. They're not. So blow some of these haters away, and they're like, man, this black dude in there trying to work on cars and stuff, man. Over here chest flexing on the keyboard, man, like they doing something. But that's haters for you. But I ain't gonna even spend time on haters that much, because all they do for me is they help me move forward. Because you ain't stopping me. You gotta have the same attitude too. You gotta tell yourself, I ain't stopping for nobody. You gotta say to yourself, I want this bad. So bad that nothing's gonna stop me. And you gotta go get it. But most of all, man, through all this, man, through all the stuff going down in the world, man, there's a lot going down. More than some of you even know, man. You know, there's a lot of Christians getting killed by these Muslim extremists, man. And I ain't down with that. You know, I'm against that, big time. I'm a fighter, man. I'm a warrior, straight up. I used to be a warrior in the streets, but now I'm a warrior for Christ. Yeah, I used to tap dance for the devil. What do I mean by that? I used to put in work for the devil, man. I used to break people off. I'm talking about fighting and hurting people big left and right. I'm not talking about some nerds, man. I'm talking about people who ran the streets with the same exact mentality as me. You know, because on the streets, it's you get him or he gets you. It's all about respect, though. You disrespect somebody, you got to show up, man. You disrespect somebody, you got to step up and handle it. Run up on your problems, man. Yes, there's storms in the mountains. So what? Run up on them. Just like David did Goliath. Before David was going to fight Goliath, what did he do? He didn't stand there. Goliath was here, talking crazy. David was here. David didn't walk to him. David ran to the mountain, ran to Goliath, straight up. What's that saying in the Bible? That's saying that run to the problem. Don't run away from it. Run to the giant. Run to the mountain. Don't pace. Run straight at it and attack it. And that's what I'm telling you today, man. Keep yourself strong. Stay in warrior mode, all right? Stay in battle mode. All you Christians, you know what I'm talking about. Stay armored up. Do not waver your faith. Do not compromise your faith at all. Not even a little bit. Remember, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Remember what he did for you. And in Jesus' mighty holy name, get out there, continue to smash on it, and go crush it. Go get it.